Hey guys, welcome to B&M How2. And if you're wondering what the B&M is, it's Bruce and Matt. Today we're getting ready for spring. You know what's coming? Lawn mowing season. It's not going to be here real soon, but we want to be prepared. Uh, we got a lawnmower here that has not been running really smooth. It hasn't had an oil change, and so the first thing I'm probably going to do is just blow it off a little bit, get some of those pine needles and stuff off of it. And so bear with me just a second. All right, next thing I'm going to do is get the blade off, see how that looks. It's been a while since it's been taken off, so I already loosened the nut up, so I should be able to get it by hand. It's not terrible, but it's got a few nicks and gouges in the blade, so we're just going to hit that with probably a file, or we'll put it on the grinder maybe just slightly, but it's not in real bad shape. So we'll put that over the bench right now. We're going to do a couple other things here quick before we do that. We're going to check the spark plug because it's been running rough. Oh, well, something doesn't feel right there, and if you look in there, there's a part of the spark plug still stuck in the boot. So I'm taking a pair of needle nose pliers and I'm going to pull that out. It's like going to the dentist. No Novocaine here though. There's the end of it. So that could probably be a real cause of why this thing's been running rough. I'm certain of it. I already loosened up this plug just to try and speed things up a little bit. So there's the rest of the plug. So we'll be getting a new spark plug for this. But I'm just going to put that plug back in just to protect things so we don't get any dirt, or we never want to put a wrench on this, a power wrench of any sort, to start your spark plug back in. You always want to start that by hand. And it may not go real easy. Sometimes it's going to be a fighting match to get that started, but next thing we're going to do is get the oil draining out. Then we can have this oil draining while we're working on the lawnmower blade. You don't have to go and buy any fancy tools to do this stuff. I was a mechanic for years, so I still have a very large tool set. But if you wanted to try and keep things down to your budget, Harbor Freight tools, they're inexpensive and they work just fine. I have plenty of Harbor Freight sockets that I use here in my garage. So there's a plug on here that I'm taking out. It's gonna be quick about this because once I get this out, the oil's gonna come very shortly after it. Here it comes. So I'm gonna get this pan up here. Quick maneuver there. It said that this lawnmower takes 22 ounces of oil, and I'm not 100% sure about that, but there is a fair amount coming out. So another thing you can do sometimes to speed it up is take the dipstick out. But I think we're already getting to the end of the run. Here's what your dipstick looks like. There's an L, if you can read it, and then there's just some hash marks in between, and then the full mark. So if it's in between the L and the full, and you don't want to change the oil, that's normal operating. You can still run if it's in that hashed area without fear of damaging your motor. You don't want to go over full because then you can damage the motor. You can blow seals out, and obviously you don't want to run it low because then you're going to wreck bearings. So I am a big fan of sharpening blades with just a straight file. It's just a standard file. I like the handle on it because then I can really get a good push on it. Having a vise is something that every guy should have in his work area. Been trying to get Matt to buy one. He will. So you're gonna go one direction. You're not gonna drag your file back, because if you do that, you're gonna take the pitch out of the file. The pitch is what cuts into the metal. If we don't have pitch on the file anymore, it won't take material off. Steady, even pressure. We're getting pretty close. I'm going to hit it on the back side a couple of times because it's been rolled over from hitting rocks. Hardwood branches can do it as well. But I'm fairly certain this is from rocks. Those are some pretty good nicks. Trying to get myself set up here while I'm not going to go too much on the back edge, or the bottom side of the blade, because I don't want to start. I just want to get those high spots knocked down. This blade's bent a little bit too. Or is it just my eyes? It might just be my eyes. And I always tap my file once in a while. That knocks the metal out of the teeth. That's about all I'm going to do on that side. I'm going to flip it back over now and bring those high spots back down. I have a tool. I like tools that will can be used for balancing a blade. I'm going to grab that quick. So it's a little stand that's got a point, and then there's a cone that sits on it, and it'll find its own. It's going to find its own balance, and you can see we're extremely balanced. When a blade starts getting really worn, you're going to get you're going to be filing on it or using a bench grinder like this. Possibly this gas can's empty, just so I don't want anybody thinking that I'm grinding with a gas can sitting there. My shop's a mess right now. My garage is a mess. But you can just give that a little touch, and you can see there it starts wobbling, but it's getting pretty close to being level, so we're good with that blade. And you can see there's a pretty decent edge on that now. I would not run my finger along that without a glove on. That would definitely cut you if you ran your finger along that. Alright, we're going to go put the plug back in the lawnmower now. And then we're going to also put the blade back on. We'll put the drain plug back in. Take your time with this one too, you don't want to cross thread this. There it goes. Left to loosen, right to tighten. Just snug it up. You don't need to crank on it. Now we're going to put the blade back on. So it's the middle hole with this one. I don't know what the other holes are for. This blade's probably universal. Fits on may fit on other lawnmowers. Just want to show you something here. These are raker teeth, so like they're great for mulching in the fall. Leaves. These will help also because they're tipped up to help lift the grass up, so it'll cut better. I have these on my lawnmower because they really shred the leaves. Again, start your any nut or bolt by hand, or if you have to put an extension on it, always start that by hand. Don't put a wrench on it. Now I have a battery operated impact that I'm just going to hit this with. This is not your tool that everybody's going to want to spend money on. You can just tighten this up with a wrench, but I've got this, so I'm using it. And don't overdo it if you have an impact, because you're going to not be happy if you have to try and take that out by hand, or somebody else will. Alright, now I'm going to put some oil into a smaller container so I'm not making a giant mess, because I've got this in a, what is this, a 2.5 gallon jug. This mower calls for 30 weight oil. So I actually had some 30 weight oil, and that's what I'm going to put back in. Alright, we got our oil into a manageable container now that I'm not fighting to put it in out of that big jug. I'm not going to pour all this in right away because I just want to let it go in, and we're going to check, and you can't pour it too fast because this hole, the fill tube is pretty small, and it'll catch up too fast and overfill and or overflow and make a big mess. So I'm just going to check it here quick just to see where we're at. Get that dipstick all the way seated, and we're right at the full mark. We're going to let it sit here for a second, pull a rope maybe, let it just give it a little turn to see if anything, if it flows where it should. Yeah, we're still low, so we're going to go ahead and pour the rest in and see where we're at. And we're right at the full mark. Beautiful. We'll just check it once more. Right at the full mark. Alright, last thing we're going to do is just check the air filter. And it's really clean yet. Yeah, there's no sense in changing that. It's in good shape. I'm going to just blow that out real quick here. Blow out the housing. That's it. Till we get a new spark plug. We may give you an update when we get that new plug put in, see how it runs. Well, that's about wraps it up. Pretty basic what I did here. I'm not a full-time lawnmower technician, but I do work on engines a lot, small engines. You can like, comment, subscribe if you want, or not. I was just kidding there. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.